balloon pretty quickly here. Here we
And
go.
with that, we're off.
So one of the things that I've seen from FR recently that I really appreciate, specifically when it comes to payload, and we talked about this, I think talked about this back in season 1, was you know, they have a lot of players that like specialty weapons and different loadouts, and they're super good at it. But sometimes when it comes to payload, just because of the fact that it's a timing issue, it's a matter of, you know, being at the right spot at the right time, making your lives count towards objective. Sometimes they can get a little sidetracked and lose their ability to influence the game when they're trying to get those loadouts. And I think that you've seen them improve dramatically with that. You see, you know, Zio here, for example, getting a specialty loadout, but one that's easy to grab in this context. He has a staple and an SMG, and that's right outside of spawn. So he's able to make an impact with weapons that he's good at. But it's not taking time away from objective.
Yeah, and I do want to reiterate what you said about how they are so good with the variety of weapons. There are so many gold weapons amongst FR. It makes me laugh every time I see it. It makes me cry every time I'm up against it, but whenever I'm not playing I definitely enjoy it.
And this is a fantastic initial push here. They really haven't slowed down.
And Zio is just picking people off as he goes.
Ares finally gets to him.
Yeah.
So yeah, on the Acme side, you have Ares, Crash Zone, Calvaric, Whoopsie, and Matrix. Matrix actually was just inducted into the Hell's Hitman clan, so he was saw him sporting those HH tags the other day. So that's awesome to see. Matrix is very talented.
Is it not a secret anymore?
Is what not a secret?
I was told that everybody who was inducted was a secret.
Oh, I don't know about anything else. I just know that that Matrix was inducted, and I think it was something that BX wanted to do just because of their relationship. So I think they had a special little separate ceremony for that induction.
Okay. Gotcha. That's really cool. And it looks like Shangen's picked up shocks, and there you see him kind of getting distracted a bit as Ares pushes forward into their spawn.
It's interesting to see Ares. I've noticed him pick up the shotgun a lot more recently. It's fascinating to see the shotgun has kind of made I guess a comeback when it comes to player usage. There's a lot of players that you don't normally see. Oh my goodness! Come on now. You see a lot of players that didn't used to use that weapon, and now they're rocking it and using it very effectively. I still can't get the hang of it. It seems like the shotguns are nerfed just for me, but then, you know, Mega Roar comes up and somehow exactly, it's got to be that. You know, somehow Mega Roar can kill me from 45, 50 feet away, but
he does things nobody should be able to. Jeez, don't take your bearing from Mega Roar. I mean, I was one of those who actually started out with shotguns because I could not aim the pistols, and I didn't know about charging pistols for the longest time. It took me easily 2 weeks, between 2 weeks and a month to know about that. So I was all about the shotguns, and then once I figured that out, I've kind of stuck with pistols since, but yeah, it's something I want to go back to because I see people like Mega Roar and like Toga just absolutely and Ares, obviously, absolutely destroying with it. So
this is a solid hold right here at the choke for Acme. FR was making great time, but it's really slowed down here, and they haven't really had much action.
Yeah, I think we've got Calvaric on rockets, making things difficult, just sending rockets around the bend. So we'll see if Toga can take him out.
I think one of the things that I think about a lot on Payload is the balance between disruption and objective, because the disruption really has to feed into effective cart pushes. And I think one of the things we just saw there was, I believe it was Toga got behind the action and was back there and distracting a couple of Acme players, but there was no FR players at the cart. So if you pull players away from the action from the red team, that's a positive thing, but it only matters if it gives you a numbers advantage in the payload area itself. So that's where that timing really comes down. Your disruption needs to happen at the same time that your players are pushing the cart. Otherwise, it's just wasted lives.
Definitely, yeah. It's wasted lives and wasted time. I think.
Ooh, great push there, though. That was fantastic. 115, and they do have a shot here.
Oh, yeah.
They need to take down those rockets.
It's totally doable, but yeah, Calvert's going to make it difficult. One of the things you see with more experienced teams is a bit more objective-focused playing, whereas the newer teams sometimes get way more distracted by the kills and disrupting, despite the fact that the cart might not be moving.
Exactly. See Matrix up there, trying to pick off a couple of players, and even though he didn't stop the entire push, picking off one and then taking one down to critical health is really the difference between FR being able to push that card a few extra feet and them not being able to.
Mm-hmm. And Ares is just making things so difficult.
There we go, though. There they go.
Oh.
They're so close, and they got it.
They got it.
With about 27 seconds to go, so great push there.
Yeah.
Well
And I'd really like to see them with 3 on for as long as possible through this stretch.
So I go back and forth on the priority of double or triple stacking the payload as opposed to area control. Generally, I'm more of the perspective that the extra speed isn't that influential in comparison to actually controlling the payload area. Because it is a 10% increase with every additional body on, but it also leaves you very open to heavy weapons.
Right.
If someone loops around and grabs a rocket, things like that. And also, it just means that there's a very predictable area for the entire opposing team to shoot at. So if you're able to control those entrances and exits, and one person sits on the cart, if you have one person sit on the cart for 20 seconds untouched, that's better than 5 seconds with 3 people on it. So it's kind of balancing that out. It's not that you shouldn't try to stack the payload when you have opportunities to, but there's
No, I get what you're saying, but particularly right after checkpoint, when you know that a bunch of them are going to be back at spawn and they're going to take at least a little bit of time getting to you. That's a really good time to try and make up a bit of the time that you might have lost choked on your checkpoint.
It's definitely true, but then you look at a team like D who, when they clear a checkpoint on both payloads, they tend to send 3+ players up into the spawn to disrupt, and as we know, there's such good 1v1 players, but what that does is it hangs up the entire red team at their spawn for 25-30 seconds, and then they're just calmly riding the payload. It's like taking a lazy Sunday drive, basically, on that payload.
Yeah, much less chaotic than what you usually see on payload.
Yep. The luxury of having someone like Recco up in front catching bodies is not something that most teams
If only
have.
every team could have a Recco.
We're in talks with 1V about cloning him, so stay tuned. Oh, beautiful clear there by
Calverick is just making things difficult. I'm really interested in how he's playing with the rockets because he was behind them, not even necessarily using them on cart, and that was really the first I'd seen him use the rockets on the cart.
And that's actually one of the cool things about rockets. I appreciate that a lot more people are picking up on it. Positionally, rockets started out as like, okay, you stay way back and you try to bomb the payload, but there's the strategy that was kind of developed. Makers was one of the original ones, and then I started using it consistently more on payload, and we kind of, Makers and I talked about it a lot. We talked about like just the different concepts, the fire and forget method, which Halverick used there to get that double clear. You send those rockets out and then you move, and so you don't have to be way behind. You can actually be pushing, you can actually get behind the other team. You can hide around corners and then just pop out with dashes, and it's effective because when you see a rocket flying at you, as a blue player, you just want to get the hell out of the way, and so there's a lot of deception and a lot of sneakiness that can be utilized with the rockets.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We just played against HHI, and oh my gosh, Mr. V and Rockets is just one of the most annoying things I've encountered. Right up there with Megavar with shotguns and Raptor Ryan with shocks.
Yep, for sure. It's a fantastic second half push, considering they only had 30 seconds on the clock when they cleared, and now they're at 2:19, and they're,
Oh yeah,
they're trucking along right now.
I think they can absolutely do it. Look at this push. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, that was a really fantastic push, and what's actually amazing is that
they've got.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. They've got the numbers.
Ooh,
wow.
Oh, they almost had it there.
That was really good.
So what was great about that push was the coordination. They had that single player as the rest of the team was spawning. He was able to stay on as Acme came back and got respawned and hit the payload area, though. The second push by FR hit at the same time, so they were able to nullify the advantage that Acme had in the payload area and that spawn advantage almost immediately. And it's probably largely due to Toga, who's just disrupting all the way up in the spawn right here. Oh, come on, Toga. Don't
my
do
goodness!
That. Don't
Oh, they
do
got
that.
it.
Wow.
131.
131.
Wow. Toga.
We're gonna need to clip that one because that's going in the highlight reel.
I didn't even. I wish I was
so
counting. Jeez. 45 and 17.
Yeah, he had at least an entire team wipe during that last push.
Yeah, a team wipe and a half. Jeez. Oh my gosh.
No, it's yeah, we talked about Megarar too in the match earlier. I saw something just ridiculous that Megarar was doing in the deathmatch at the end, which was he was on that little platform that's on that rail that goes across the water on deathmatch, and what he was doing is he had the double shotguns, and he was just backing off and dropping off the edge, and then dashing back up, and then shooting people in the face, and then dropping off as his shotguns reload. And he was just like cycling through people riding up that rail over and over again.
He does that with shocks as well on waterway, and it's just absolutely like it's very frustrating to play against, but it's something that I just want to watch to try and emulate. I don't know that I would be able to make it work, but it works so well for him.
Yeah, yeah, he's very good at it. So 47 and 19 for Toga right now. On Acme's side, we've got Aries at 35 and 35, Crash Zone at 34 and 33. So I think across the board you're seeing fairly even, but surprisingly you see that FR, as the payload pushers, had some pretty fantastic KDs, which is usually indicative of a successful team play. Like if you push payload and most of your team is close or at a positive KD, you know you're doing something right.
Yeah, for sure. Looks like Toga's disrupting. He's not found his shotguns yet, but I imagine it's only a matter of time. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, he was not disrupting.
This is the part that I still want to see FR do a better job, because it's 420 right now. That cart pushed pretty seamlessly, and they still have someone on it. They get distracted here with their loadouts and times that they shouldn't. And it's no disrespect to them. We've seen a lot of teams do this, but you know, Toga is a good enough player. He doesn't need the shotguns in order to make an impact. And so rather than spend the 15-20 seconds it takes for him to gather that loadout, him being on the cart area, stopping those pushes is the difference between shutting Acme down before checkpoint and then being able to breeze through. And so sometimes you just have to go into the pistols because time is of the essence.
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
Ooh, Whoopsie back there
looks like Whoopsie is behind, Yeah,
it looks like they've sent a few players back, and they're doing a great job because they've stacked that cart twice, and this is really the veteran skill of Acme on display. All of those players have played League, they've played organized clans, they've played together for a long time, and so that's that timing thing. You saw Whoopsie, and I believe it was Aries also back there disrupting, and that pulled multiple FR, and at the same time there was two players sitting on that payload pushing it along, and they were in a 2v1, and there's checkpoint, wow, with almost 3 minutes.
Yep, so FR definitely has their work cut out for them.
They're doing a good job. They shut down the cart here. It's back up, but they were able to get that initial clear. And I think it's just such a big deal. I think a lot of times what's the breaking difference between two talented teams is if the red team after that checkpoint is able to push out and get back to the payload area quickly and get that clear, it takes just such a different amount of effort for the blue team to get that payload moving again, as opposed to if they're able to breeze through this initial area.
Yeah, it almost seems like a momentum thing as well, because if you can get that push going, as opposed to having FR red team constantly in your face, it's super frustrating, and it can lead to distraction, can lead to lack of coordination. But yeah, FR is doing a good job of getting in their face right now.
Well, and it's a matter of aggression, because if the team takes time and they get their loadouts and they push to it, it's a lot of time for blue to just get organized, get players in the position they want to, and get ready for the initial push. If they're there before they even get a chance to like clear their mind and reset after checkpoint, then you have disorganization. Then you don't know who's pushing cart, who's first on, who's second on. Do we have disruptors up forward? Do we need to watch the back tunnel? Is there someone there? Like, there's just so many things that they're not able to keep track of when you're aggressive and in the opponent's face like that.
Yeah.
But this is a fantastic push here. 7 minutes. My goodness, Acme.
Wow.
They're doing a great job right now.
And Ares is gonna go to their. Oh, he's gonna start taking their shotgun.
And honestly, it's a pretty solid strategy. It's something that I feel like when you go up against these players that are specifically inclined to one loadout or the other, if you're able to use them competently and you can steal their pickup, it's not just giving you an advantage when it comes to your loadout. It's also knocking them down a peg as far as their capability.
Yeah, and we saw Ares was clearly very effective.
Look at this dive. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we saw FR finish with 131. So Acme's got about 5 minutes to go now.
Yeah, they have to be feeling good. And that's one thing that I haven't seen a lot of, and we've seen them be picked up now, some of them looping in there. The heavy weapons is definitely something that I'm surprised that for a team like FR that has so many specialty weapons users that they don't have more heavy weapons users. It seems like they like the shotguns, they like the staples, they like the SMGs. But I'd like to see, more use of the heavy weapons because it can make all the difference in the world. When you can, when the blue team is able to set up a 3-man push, for example, and get most of the team cleared out, if you can have someone that's able to take 3 of them down on payload and just shift all that momentum. Yep. Wow, but they're just still pushing it along, and they're rotating onto the cart really effectively.
Yeah, they've got a really good rotation going on there, and they're coordinating well enough to have somebody in attic, it looks like, to be able to hop on or take people out, take FR out as they go to kill people on cart. And there's a lot of FR grouping up on cart right now. I was expecting to see Acme come in with shocks or something.
Good pick there by Shagan. Steals the dashes.
Yeah, stealing their dashes is gonna affect that as well. Ooh.
It's interesting to me. It's definitely a disruption pattern for the blue team to get behind and steal those dashes. I think what's underutilized is for the red team after checkpoint to go back and steal all of blue team's dashes. Because after checkpoint, the dash power-up shift to benefit the blue team.
Yeah.
And so if you can get over there and take all those, it makes it really hard to get to cart because there's a lot of open area that doesn't have really much cover. And if you don't have dashes, you're in trouble.
Defense on Canyon always frustrates me just because on the second half you are nearly without dashes, and especially on this. Well, there it is. In a minute.
Oof.
Oh, I thought they had it.
Wow.
But yeah, dash boosts on this last bit make a world of difference. I'm expecting to see an organized Acme push right now.
Matrix with a good pick on Casuo. Oh man.
Is that Calvert bringing rocket? Oh,
Yeah.
he's down now.
Yep, it was Calbrick bringing the rocket.
Oh,
there it is.
They got it. 327.
So a little over a 2-minute difference. Wow. Yeah, I think it's. I just think it's that that payload defense is the aspect that FR still needs a little bit of work on. They're getting there, but just more impact on the objective because they're getting the kills. You see that with Toga at a ridiculous 80 and 37.
Oh my gosh, 80 and 37.
You know, they have the players to get those kills, get those picks, make an impact. But I think sometimes they're making an impact away from objective, and it's not really influencing, you know, how a team like Acme is pushing the cart, because that's a team of veterans that they really do not care at all about whether or not they have a positive KD, but they're going to make sure that they're going to make sure that payload gets delivered.
Well, while we're waiting, here is the French song.
We are the French boat, we adore play with les autres. When we die, we say, ah, in Paris, we love the beat. We are the French boat, we adore play with les autres. When we die, we say, ah, in Paris, we love the beat. Sur le payload, my name is Jean-Claude, I play accordéon. In the canyon, if you want manger croissant au beurre, I can choose my sniper. But if you prefer la baguette, you will see my big rocket. We are the French boat, we adore play with les autres. When we die, we say, I in Paris, we love the beat. We are the French boat, we adore play with les autres. When we die, we say, I in Paris, we love the beat.
So good.
Insert clapping. I don't know if you can hear me clapping or not.
Nah, I'm gonna have it stuck in my head for a week now, as always.
Oh dang.
Well, if you play it every week, it's just always stuck in your head. I'm just throwing it out there.
Somebody mentioned it in game the other day. I think Schengen hopped in, and it's just been stuck in my head. So I was glad that I got to commentate this game, so I can continue the tradition of playing it.
I think every team needs their own song now. I think that's what
I agree.
Concluded.
I absolutely agree.
I might be able to work on something for Ajax if they want me to.
There you go, dude. I love
Insert saxophone craziness.
Oh boy. I think you should do it
sweet
and then present it and see what people think. So, did we see? It looks like Alchemist. No, institutions.
Looks like it's the. Looks like it's the same
native
team.
looks like
Yep.
came in.
BX came in for Ares. It looks like.
That's who it was. Okay. Yeah.
And I will say, BX and Matrix are both very strong on waterway. They're both very accurate with pistols from distance and on the rails, and that's a big aspect. I think one of the things I'm seeing more as the league develops and players are getting better is that you're seeing, you know, usually, you know, a player like Ares who's just super talented, you're just like, oh, you'd always play Ares, like he'd always be playing, but there are some players that are just have a connection with a specific map. I think of Tor on Quarry, you know, Recco on Orange Payload is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like there's certain players that just operate on another level in specific maps, and so I think that you see that more and more. Someone like Whoopsie is a fantastic player on this map as well. She's not going to have the craziest KD, but she is going to push so many buttons. like just obscene
Mm-hmm.
amounts of buttons. She could have 5 kills and she'll probably still be at the
Yeah.
top of the leaderboard, because she just that's what she does. She's
It is
sneaky. She
crazy
gets
how
in
that
there.
works
She
out,
taps
though.
buttons. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think we're gonna see at least one sniper, possibly Kasuo sniping on FRs. I don't know. Does Acme generally have a sniper? Can you guys hear me?
Sorry, what was that?
I thought there was something wrong with my mic at some point. Oh no, I was saying that I'm expecting to see probably Kasuo sniping for FR, and I wasn't sure if Acme has a sniper or not.
Yeah, I don't think Acme does. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I would imagine that you'll probably see a more traditional, just heavy aggressive approach from Acme. They're gonna just send people in waves. There'll be group ups at B. We'll have 2 or 3 of them move on that rail. Typically, the would be the right rail descending into the basement, and they'll dash up from there.
Yeah.
So we're now, let's see here. Now a couple of hours into, we've got 8 matches in 6 hours today for Dash League.
So, League marathon of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're just adding more teams in, so it's just going to keep getting crazier and crazier. I think we need to let some teams know that they can schedule matches on not Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Just floating it out there, guys. It's a thought.
Get some playing during the week.
Oh man, yeah. I think Phoenix is playing 2 games today.
Yeah,
so
they just played, and then they're playing at what, 4 Eastern.
Yep.
At the same time as HHI and Bruh. And then at 5 Eastern, we have D versus I. And at 5:30 Eastern, we have Ajax and LQSC and Other versus Arc. So lots of games going on. All of them, as far as I know at the moment, will be streamed. So you will be able to watch all of them, not at the same time, probably.
But Callie, I'm confused. When does the schedule get busy?
Oh, that's going to be whenever there are more teams added in.
Oh, got it.
Oh boy!
It's clearly not busy now.
Don't worry, Archon can work on that.
Yep.
Oh, jeez. I think FR is doing a good job of working on that too. I'm waiting to see FR3 in the coming seasons.
Are they just gonna add another apostrophe, or are they gonna add a 3, or is that gonna look too much like Fire? I don't know.
Good question. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
It would look a lot like Fire at that point.
I think maybe just add another apostrophe. They're gonna run out of space at some point, though. Oh yeah.
I wonder if what the developers are gonna allow for more specialty characters moving forward.
I want them to be able to stop Team Name from having to wrap theirs. Every time I see them.
It's so funny.
It's so frustrating.
Well, because it wasn't like that not that long ago. Like, that's the new development.
Oh, really?
Within, like, the last 2 alphas or something, they changed something with the text, and all of a sudden,
oh my gosh.
it's a double. It's a 2-line name, and it didn't used to be.
Oh, wow.
Another example of board bias. I think we did that to them somehow. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but that's our fault.
I believe
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Clearly,
Okay,
that's what caused
I have
the
a
most
quick question.
too.
What is the origins of the board bias meme? Because, like,
No,
seriously,
you can't. That's not.
I hear
That's
it
not how
Wait,
you.
they're
2
starting.
seconds. Like, it's just like,
Waterway is
you are a
starting.
human being. You
No-
are
no
naturally
board
going
bias,
to have
waterway's
slight
starting.
biases.
Nope.
I don't
Nope.
understand
Nope.
what's the contentious point here.
Blueberry waterway starting. Priorities.
Darn. Just when I thought I would get an explanation.
We'll get to that in a minute once the game starts settling in here.
Yep.
Already you see a couple of FR players down, whoop, and then a bunch of them were on low. So they're definitely Acme is already starting to apply a lot of pressure, get those picks. Got Califrake at 2-0 right now, BX Native at 2-0, and then Whoopsie in the following in the footsteps of her husband is the one with the most interactions at 2-2.
Yeah. Well, and Calveric's there with 4 and 1. Yeah. Oh, so Zio's sniping.
Red takes B.
We have access to the domination buttons. We can pull those up so we can see.
Inset on the bottom right. You can see him at the top.
Oh, yeah.
It's
It's all good.
fantastic, Garbage Man. Thank you so much.
I still have very, very mixed feelings about Sniper on Waterway now. I don't know if it makes the impact that it used to anymore.
My thinking is aggression at some point will win out. Granted, it's going to depend on the team and the sniper. But we saw what HHI
FR
versus
scores.
Other.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, completely missed that. We saw HHI versus what was it, Other, and I mean there are some fantastic snipers on there, but Other was just so aggressive. The HHI's snipers really were just overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and that was our mentality. You know, we have obviously the utmost respect for Stonebread and Mr. V.
And Mr. V.
And so our thought process with a team like that is, if we can get as aggressive and in their face as possible, it neutralizes what they can do, because they're not able to keep an eye out on the entire map. They're limited to what's in front of them. And when you're in a 1v1, Sniper is a little less effective close range with people sprinting and dodging and ducking.
Yeah. Well, it definitely worked. But I do kind of use that example as, you know, I'm still a proponent of aggression will win out.
Yeah,
The
agreed.
snipers will make like,
Wow.
oh my gosh,
FR is
they're crushing it.
doing some serious work right now. I did
It's
not expect them to
Less than
score this
4
quickly.
minutes in.
Yeah.
Oh
2-0.
my gosh.
Wow.
Control point. Let's go.
Yep. Absolutely.
I shouldn't say that. I'm gonna drink it now. I would love to see a control point though.
I mean, I would also be. I would love to see a control point. I also would be very much up to Acme bringing this back to a 2-2 and making it real interesting.
Oh. I mean, there's plenty of time left.
Yeah. I think this is what I love about Waterways. Just, it's so inclined to be fully unpredictable. Like, it can be over in 3 or 4 minutes, as we've seen in some matches. It can take all 25. It can take 23 minutes with no points, and all of a sudden there's 4 points scored in the last 2.5 minutes or something like that. It's just so strange. Look at that, we got it come down from Acme there.
Oh.
Is there a way for, wow, look at the entire team going in to counter. That was definitely a good team effort, but it's also... They're all...
good counter. Good
that was the last
counter.
one up, too. Wow.
Oh
Good
my
work.
gosh. FR is just, man, they are absolutely crushing it.
Countered.
Acme is really making a mark for it. Oh,
Great pick there by Toga.
yeah.
I will say,
Red takes B.
the one thing I noticed is as someone that loves using shocks on this map, if Acme is paying attention there, what they should be talking about right now is that counter that happened earlier was 4 FR players. Woo, there it is.
Yeah.
They got one
Yeah,
back.
as soon as we saw all of them hop to the button, it makes me nervous because it's kind of the same with control point. That if everybody hops for the button, it's such an easy target to spray and pray.
Well, and especially because those shocks are so readily available in the opponent base.
Yeah.
If I were Acme, I'd be talking immediately about the next countdown. Someone needs to be waiting in the basement with shocks and pop up as the countdown's happening, because you clear 4 people on the button, even if they get a counter, then you just locked out 4 people for the next countdown.
Yeah.
And it's basically game over at that point.
Red takes C.
It looks like
Acme's
FR has got
making
quite
it real interesting here.
Yeah. I'd like to see FR get a little bit more aggressive and push out. It looks like they've got 3 or 4 in their
sunk in
base.
their base. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was the reason why that stood out to me, is because you see 4 of them all countering the same button. That doesn't make any sense. Send 2 one place, send 2 the other place. The odds are you'll get one of them, and you won't be dependent on one specific play working out. Ooh.
Oh no.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. The dash paths get a little weird on Waterway.
Yeah.
Our understanding is that some of that has been addressed for release, so hopefully that's the case. Man, yeah, there's some janky dash paths. I feel like about 30 to 40% of my deaths on Waterway are me just not being able to make the dash that I'm trying to make.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just standing like a dummy in one position, and someone on their team walks out and kind of looks at me and was like, well, I guess I'll kill him now.
Yeah, I have heard that's gotten fixed though, so I am extreme. That might be one of the things I'm most excited for this game coming out. I've spent so much time dying. My 2 biggest deaths on Waterway are walking off the side and into the water, and not being able to snap to a rail, and looking off to the side as I get killed from right in front of me.
Whoopsies got their base. They got the other 2 points, but she's got their base. Oh, good pick.
Oh, nice.
Countered.
Oh, and they got the countdown, but it was countered today there.
Yeah, and looks like they finally took Whoopsie out, and we're gonna see Sniper from Kasuo again. And then the other thing that I'm always interested to see, and I was just playing with him yesterday, and I saw Schengen picking up rockets on Waterway. I feel like you don't see too many players picking up rockets, and he's definitely effective with them, but it's definitely different.
Yeah, rockets are something that some of the heavy weapons players have been. Oh man,
Toga just cleared 3 of them out.
Oh, 4. Here he goes. 5. Cut it out with a 6.
In a mega roar. Oh my gosh.
And the countdown's happening.
Ah! Oh, they got it.
Wow, and they got it.
Oh my gosh, Toga. He's at 32 and 18.
For those just joining, welcome to the Dash League Network, also known as Toga's highlight reel.
We call this Toga TV right now.
So
oh my gosh.
Toga's treating this game as his personal highlight reel. He's trying to get some good shots for before release.
The end of their Payload push, and now the end of Waterway. Both of those have to be clips for his highlight.
He just went off. Good lord.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that was
so control point it is.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well done, FR.
Dang.
Yeah, back to the Waterway discussion though, as we prepare for control point. Mr. V can attest to this. One of my favorite things about Waterway, as it used to be before they changed the dashing, was just how easy it was to dash from rail to rail.
Yeah.
You could actually do it blind if you knew essentially the right length, like how far out to hold out your arm. So
Yeah.
you could actually, in like under a second, you could dash from one rail all the way across all 3 rails going into a base. So you could start out on one rail and just do a double tap on the dash button and get all the way across to the other rail. So it made for some really fun rail battles where you just have players hopping side to side back and forth on the rails at each other.
See, that's what I always think Waterway should be. I didn't know it used to be like that, and I've
It
spent
used to be like
entirely
that.
too much time trying to work on it,
Yeah.
and just being incredibly frustrated with it.
If you go back to like early season 1 or season 0 and watch watch some of the games on Waterway, or at that point early on it was known as Yellow.
Yeah.
You'll see that. You'll see there's some fantastic battles where people are hopping up and down and back and forth, and just like getting into essentially aerial duels. It's like almost like dogfighting is what it is. It's like
Yeah. Oh, that would be
it's
a
like
game
pilots
changer.
dogfighting. Yeah.
I'm
So
so excited for that.
we'll see the extent of what they did to change the dashing, but if it's better on that regard, that would be really exciting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
All right, so control point. How do we feel about this? What's the outcome going to be, Blueberry? What do you think?
So, who was the sniper from FR again? My brain is just too slow to
Zio.
remember all these
Actually,
details.
Zio picked it up, but Kasu will often pick up a sniper as well.
So, something to keep in mind for control point, and you even, like, I'm just going to reference the LQSC match because that's just the most recent one in my memory. Like, Czar Lewin was just going crazy, and like snipers can make a very big difference on control point. I feel like they're fairly underrated, but you also have to like know your team has to understand how to use the sniper to be able to make it effective.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I feel like Acme might have better one-on-one players, but against a sniper, one-on-one players don't really do that much because they can snipe them from across the map or while they're down getting the button or whatever. So honestly, I'm not really sure, but I'm going to say Acme because they are the Ajax team, and I am legally required to. Like that if I'm at about a 50-50, I have to choose Acme.
Yeah. Styles listening in. He's like, if you say the wrong thing, cutting you from the roster immediately.
Wait, he's here?
He's always here, dude. He's
I see.
always behind the
A
scenes,
little creepy.
pulling the strings.
Little creepy. Yeah, no, I mean, I think I said this, Blueberry, when we were watching the other match, but I think a sniper, when utilized correctly, can be fantastic,
go.
but they need to stay object-oriented. And if they're
Yeah,
up there
definitely.
sniping, but they don't have the button, it's kind of like disrupting when nobody's on
Yeah.
cart.
If your
but
sniper is just sitting back and sniping and is not like control point, the basis, if you take it down to its core, it's this: you need 5 button pushers. If you don't have 5 button pushers,
Yeah.
and the other team does, the odds are you will lose the game.
Yeah, well, I mean,
so
I'll boil
it's
it down
fine.
further. You just
Oh wow,
play
rockets!
control and hit the button.
You just gotta go ooga booga monkey brain, button is life.
So we're seeing rockets being utilized, which is really interesting.
I'm sure it's Calvaric. We did play them at some point on control point, and Calvaric was going crazy with rockets.
Rockets are another tough one to get, like, because they're split. Again, most of the weapons are kind of split on control point.
Yeah.
The rockets are on opposite ends. Like, there's no easy path to get double unless you're just waiting for it to respawn. So that's interesting. It's definitely effective. I'm very sad that there's not shocks on this map, because otherwise it would
Oh
probably
my
be my
gosh, it
favorite
would be
map.
insanity. I always think about that. It would be crazy. It would be really fun to watch, but terrible to play.
Yeah. So look at that. You see, can we actually? I'm curious. Can we pull up the scores and stats real quickly? Because right now we have Whoopsie at 2 and 6. Yeah. She's got that low KD, but she's always hitting that button. That's just that is Whoopsie's play style. She will hit it, and then she does it again, and she's gonna die, but she's gonna come back up, and she's gonna be the first one to hit it once more. Like, it's just gonna be a repeat over and over.
Yeah.
FR with an early lead. See how they compensate here.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
they've got a good
kind
hold.
of back and forth because Acme took the earlier lead, And now FR is pulling it back a little bit. But I think it's gonna be a long game of give and take, and we'll see which one wins out. But Calvert's making it difficult for FR to even get out of spawn.
Yeah, they got a great hold going here. They've tied it back and taken the lead now.
Yeah.
And this really is a situation that I would say for FR, you know, someone like Zeo, no disrespect to what he does and how good he is with some of these different weapons, but if you're taking this amount of time to get to the button, it's no good. It's no good. You would have to get almost a complete team wipe in order for that to be worthwhile when it comes to objective. Like, you would have to clear the entire team and get a 15-second hold plus in order to justify that amount of time spent.
Yeah, and there we saw him take out, you know, button was clear, but he didn't go and hit the button.
Yep. And right now Acme has the lead. So it's whatever you grab, it has to be on the way to objective. There's no detours, there's no pit stops.
Do not pass go. Straight to button.
Yep. Straight to jail.
There you go.
And I think the other aspect of this, because, you know, for Dash League players, you know, everyone loves that dash power up, and it almost feels like it's impossible to play the game without it. But on control point, there's just two. So if you have your team just waiting around for a dash pickup, it's just not worthwhile. And so for other, we've specifically practiced and have players understand that on control point they just don't touch dash the entire game. Like, there's no dash available. It's saved for specific players that need to travel more distance and do other things. Because if we have people just waiting on that dash, it's just once again wasting
such a waste
so much
of time.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, that being said, disrupting the other team's dash can have a huge effect as well.
Yep.
Looks like FR is really trying to do that. However, I hope they don't do it to the detriment of pushing the button.
It's close.
Like
it's going back and
very
forth.
Close, yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Acme has really had at least a little bit of a lead for the majority of the time now. Let's see, FR looks like they've got to change something, be it just a little bit more aggressive or leaving some of the loadouts, but they need to change something just to get that edge.
They're keeping it close, and I think you're seeing more just pistol work happening from them right now. I really hope this gets down to about the 250 mark, and it's still only about a 10-point difference.
Yeah.
Because one of my favorite aspects of control point is just how as the countdown starts and as it's ticking down to the end of it, it comes down to just who is going to dig deeper and who is going to lock in. And so for other, when we last season when control point was first introduced, we had some issues initially, and then when we started winning it, we basically just established that, look, we need to treat every control point as it starts out like the other team has 250 and we're 30 points down. Like, that is the mentality, is that you sit on that button every time it switches color, you're back in there grabbing it again. You want every point. You need 5 points to every 1 point they get, and that needs to be the mentality for these teams as it's staying so close right now with FR taking the lead.
And that being said, they have played 2 maps before this with very few subs, so it's a video game, but it is exhausting at some point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
To now go through this with such a close, oh my gosh, and I just saw FR is taking a little bit of a lead. But to then
quite a bit of lead now, actually,
for nearly 10 minutes, depending on the game, it is exhausting. And then also, I wanted to point out, Schengen was using the SMGs by the sniper. Is being super effective with that. I've not seen that before.
And I think this should be, if I were to recommend FR a specific strategy, I think what's happening kind of naturally here, when they've owned the button, then they have an opportunity for their players to get those preferred loadouts, and they can hold that button even better. But when they're trying to get the button, they need to just go in immediately. And that's kind of the difference. when they can control even better with those loadouts. But the first priority has to be that button, and that's what they're doing right now. Grabbing that button first, and then you see some of them slip off to grab their loadouts, and that's been effective for them.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think of Payload, where at some point on Payload, you should be dying with feet on cart. Here, you know, you should be dying at the button. And if you haven't died at the button, it's because you pushed it and gotten away.
Yep, exactly.
Wow,
Oh, man.
so
We're seeing here's a 30-point lead. Yeah, they're doing a good job. Let's see how Acme comes back here.
the test of endurance now, a war of attrition. It's exhausting to watch, not gonna lie.
Looks like Acme's got that button area controlled again. And again, it's just like at this point, it's digging deep. It's one team just saying we need this button and we need it for the next 30 seconds, and you just have to. It's almost sheer will at some level.
If you just believe. No, I think it's also, you know, if you go in, I always am back and forth with this. When you go in, do you go for the kill or the button first? And I've seen players utilize a strategy very effectively, and I've seen it a couple times by FR now, where they're not necessarily going for that button first. They're taking that one kill, getting the button, and then coasting up. But I think it really depends on the circumstance, and FR is being incredibly effective with that right now. Although Acme is
40 seconds to go for FR. Yep.
Yeah.
So, to answer that, my opinion is that it really depends on what the other team is doing. And what I mean by that is, if the other team is going to respond first by capping the button, then when you go in, you need to get the kill first. Because otherwise, you're going to cap it, you're going to dash back, they're going to cap it, you're going to dash back, and you really didn't get anything out of that. But if they are going to go for the kill initially, then jumping in and capping is going to give you 2 or 3 seconds during that firefight where your team is scoring points. So even if you're in a 1v2, it's still time that you're building up. But it depends on how they're treating it. If they're just going to respond immediately by capping the button, then you need to go for the kill first. If they're going to respond by fighting you first, then cap the button first.
Yeah, I think what I tend to think is what you said there. It depends on numbers generally, and to look at it morbidly. If I know I'm going to die, I'm going to go for the button.
Oh man, it's close. It's a 10-point lead. Oh, and FR has it right now. Let's see what happens. Ooh, they're still counting it down.
They've got 7 seconds.
6 seconds.
can do this. It's still possible to pull out the win.
They can't. They've got to sit on it.
They've got it. They've got it.
There it is.
Wow, that was
well
so
done
close.
by FR.
That's a fantastic win. That's a fantastic win against a team
That was
of
not
a lot
easy.
of veterans there, yeah.
That was a lot of work by both teams. Wow. 10,000 points. Kasuo put some work in. And yeah, as we were talking about, it's button pushing. He doesn't necessarily have the best KD and definitely doesn't have the most kills, but you know, button pushing is what wins control point.
Absolutely. Wow, that's fantastic. 30 and 13 to Zio, doing a lot of damage, taking a lot of players down with his loadouts. That's a great win by FR.
Okay. Hey, Garbage, are you planning to stream the? I don't know if they're gonna do a deathmatch or anything.
Probably not, because I think this is the
I
next
don't
round of games starting in 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, then. Thanks, everyone, and thank you, Garbage, for streaming.
Yeah, a fantastic match. Congrats to FR. Well fought by Acme. Guess we'll have people back here in a little bit.
Yes, see everybody in a bit.
Absolutely.